All right, then I will call this meeting together at 3:19 PM on February 11th, 2025. I'm calling this to order. I don't think we need introductions because we have no public here. Right, so let's just jump into it. Approval of the February 11th agenda as written. Any comments, changes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Mike, I'm assuming you're approving because you're muted and we can't see you. He's not saying otherwise.
Majority anyway.
Okay, yeah. Approval of the January 13th minutes. Additions, corrections, changes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of January
I'll second.
13th.
13th.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, ayes have it. Open to the public. Where's Kippa? She's asleep. Close to the public. December 2024 financials.
Absolutely. Give me 1 second here. I'll get those up on the screen.
Okay.
Well, I can't get them up on the screen if I read them out loud. So I'm going to read them to you first, and then I'll bring them up. So the December P&L reflects a net income of 162,000. It's high again to the third quarter ACCD invoice that we received in December. The updated budget approved in January is reflected on the new P&L. Line 402 is high, town dues. Line 403 is high due to the ACCD third quarter invoice. Line 403.5 is low due to QUISP and still, working through projects. Line 403A, state income is high. This is due to the NDA agreement and invoicing for Brandon and Fairhaven. Line 407, DOE, no activity. We are awaiting the energy efficiency and conservation block grant. But as you all know, that one may not actually be coming because we had a kickoff meeting scheduled and it was promptly canceled due to the administrative order from the federal government. So more to come. I'm not banking on getting that money anymore, which is unfortunate. Line 417, Department of Labor is low. We're really just getting going on the Work 6 grant, and Karima's been pushing ahead on that. So I expect that moving forward, you'll see much higher billing to that. Expense side, line 523, audit accounting is high because we paid in full. Line 537 is negative. This is due to posting the RPC's credit card points on this line. The auditor said this was acceptable as reporting miscellaneous income. I'm sure it will go into the positive when we have a few more expenses through the rest of the fiscal year. Line 560 insurance is high because that's also been paid in full for the RPC's insurance. And accounts receivable as of 12/31, accounts receivable totaled $468,000. And as of 2/11/25, accounts receivable totaled $371,000. Do you guys want to see the spreadsheet up on the big screen?
Looks like no.
No.
Not much change. It's almost exactly the same as it was before.
And we'll see it on Tuesday next week anyway.
You will see it next Tuesday as well. Just taking the minutes as we go here this time. All right.
Okay, executive director's report.
Absolutely. So I met with the Rutland delegation. I hosted them here on Monday. We only had 5 show up, but it was a really good meeting, and it was 5 of the new representatives: Castleton, Clarendon, Brandon, Rutland City, and one other. we had a great meeting. They had a lot of really important questions to ask. We talked about everything relating to RPC, sort of governance, funding, programs, regional plan update, and regional legislative priorities. So hoping to stay in touch with them and continue to communicate and work on legislation as it comes up this session. We're working with MERP towns on a potential group bid for those towns that are awarded implementation funding. We think that there might be some efficiency and cost savings by producing one RFP and hoping that by having a contractor respond to one RFP, maybe there would be scales of economy that would make it more efficient and cheaper to do all projects in the region. So not every town is signing on, but several have expressed interest. So we're going to work through that. In addition, these implementation grants offer up to 10% for grant administration. We're recognizing that unless we provide this service, there's probably going to be some issues with this grant because it's, like all grants, has a lot of significant stipulations. So we're going to be approaching the towns who have received awards to ask if they would like us to serve in this role. And we're going to charge a nominal fee. Right now it's up to 10% that we can get. We're shooting for the 5 to 8% range. And we're looking at sort of across the board at that. So more to come there. We would just want to, this is such a positive, great program. We want to remove all barriers so the full benefit goes to the towns. Future land use map. This is going to be added to an upcoming agenda. Originally I had sort of an idea to bring it to you guys today, but considering we've been in meetings for a long time reviewing regional plan stuff, I think this can wait. Two things that are important. One, we are working through a draft of the future land use map. We're about at the, let's say, 80% mark. And we're not going to ever get to the 100% mark until we meet with the towns, but we want to get as close as possible. And we have several different drafts going now. I want to review those with you and have Logan come in, our regional town planner, to sort of talk about how the plan is, or the map is being developed. We have an online version of the map so we can pan around, zoom in. But in addition to the map development is also the public engagement, which is required in statute. So I've been sort of teasing to the board for a while now that we're going to be planning to go to every town. Initially, the sort of very aggressive plan was to start those meetings now. But after getting into this and realizing town meeting day is a month away, it does not make sense to meet with the select board only to have it change over in a month. So our plan is this. We want to wait until town meeting day and board restructuring meetings to start in late March, early April, and ask every town to hold a special select board meeting with their town planning commission, the select board, and the regional commissioner, whoever that is, and go into the town, provide background on what Act 181 is and the changes to Act 250 and future land use maps, describe where we are in the regional plan process, and then actually do a mapping session with them where we present, here's the current future land use map, here's the current town future land use map, here's the current town zoning map, if applicable, and then here's our new future land use map. And sort of describe all the changes, what it all means, and then ask for specific feedback on areas that can be changed within the map. And that's something that's going to be a much bigger change and pill for people to swallow, is understanding that not every element in this plan or in this map can be changed because it is structured in statute that way. For instance, our downtowns, village centers, village areas, and planned growth areas, not a ton of wiggle room there because we have a pretty structured methodology for that mapping. However, the rural areas, rural general, rural conservation, and rural ag and forestry, there's some potential movement in those areas. So Why this is also important is for every town that may be eligible for tier 1 status in Act 250, which is there's tier 1, tier 1A, tier 1B, tier 2, and tier 3. Tier 1A and B are those that may see some level of Act 250 relief. Tier 1A is complete Act 250 exemption. Tier 1B is for certain housing projects. Tier 2 is status quo. And then tier 3 are your critical natural resources. We do not do that part. That is the Agency of Natural Resources. So this whole effort is so big and complicated. It's going to be super important for us to come to the towns with clear guidance on what we're doing and what we're asking for. So do we expect to get this all done in one meeting? Maybe for some towns, but not for all. So we may have to go back to those towns. So we're leaving ourselves a little bit of a buffer. Where this is so tricky is like we're in a parallel track here to our regional plan development, as you can tell, and they gotta at some point come together. So where it's important, I think, is how we present this draft map to the full board. You know, that's why I want to bring it to you all so you're aware of it, you see it, you feel good about it. But my guess is, and we're about to talk about this in a minute, similar to how this draft regional plan is going with the full board, and that they're so far we've only received one survey response.
Unengaged.
And of that survey response, they only responded to one of the 10 chapters. So if that says anything, we're looking for 27 responses at the minimum to 10 chapters. That'd be 270 responses, and we only have one. So that's not to say people aren't reading it. Maybe they are. I hope they are. And maybe they're just not commenting, or maybe they're planning to fill out those review forms manually and bring them in. Either way, we're going to talk about this more in a minute when we talk about the upcoming board meeting. So, a lot of irons in the fire on this future land use mapping. In addition, I wanted to add one important point. All the RPCs form two groups. One where all the regional planners and mappers are getting together monthly to talk about how they're developing their maps, methodologies, best practices, and then another group of all RPCs that are talking about engagement, methodologies, best practices. So it's really good to know that we're all sort of in line with each other and sharing information and resources. One good note is that other than Chittenden County RPC, which has probably, no joke, a dozen people working on this project, we only have a dozen people in our entire organization. We are making the most progress on our map. So we're in pretty good shape there. Just another sort of note, municipal planning grants, those are still available. They're due March 31st. Another note, come out, Real Rutland Feud, Saturday. We're going up against Cape Air. Really excited about that. And then lastly, we have advertised for the finance assistant position under MK, and we've received a couple applications, so we will be scheduling interviews when I get back from vacation. The last note, obviously, is I'll be on vacation next week. So I will be leaving Monday morning and coming back the following Sunday. I'm going to Bermuda, so I'll be flying out directly from Boston, which is a short flight. So as of now, I am planning to be at the board meeting on Tuesday.
It's 400 miles off the coast of North Carolina.
Yes, yes. It's a 2-hour flight from Boston, 2.5 hour
Yeah,
flight.
it's not fair.
Any questions on that stuff?
And I want to see a daiquiri in your hand while you're.
You bet.
That getting back to that special meeting, they'll need a real good heads up on that to try to
Yes.
get select board, planning commission and
Yep.
public together.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as soon as town meeting day happens, we're gonna
Right.
start reaching out and asking. So we may need some of your help,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
possible, in some of your towns. Most of your towns, it should be quite easy, but
Did you say that the land use maps are currently online, or they will be?
no, we have developed online GIS maps.
Mhm.
So they're not posted online,
Okay,
like publicly,
okay.
but I would be willing to share that link with you all. I I've been hesitant to share
I know.
with you guys without a background of like, this is what this means,
know.
you know? If you wanted, I could share with you the map and the methodology, but be warned, the methodology is
Wait for
dense
the
and very
meeting.
like technical.
Yeah.
So might be best to wait for the March meeting.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay.
Oh, the regional plan update.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep this skinny because you all know what's happening. We are knee deep in our review session right now, and that's really the only thing happening. I'm a little bit worried about the timeline and where we're at, only because our next drafting and review cycles get shorter and shorter and shorter. You know, they're 4 weeks, 1 week, 3 weeks, 1 week, 4 weeks, 1 week for the next several iterations. So we've got to get this Task 3 Rev 1 review cycle is to me the most critical milestone. We got to make sure we're on the right path and that the direction out of our current review is very clear. So the next drafts will be right on point and any future revisions will be minimal. Because we're also running up against like hours issues with available hours.
You guys, at our last meeting, you guys were thinking that you would write like a real directive on exactly how the intro section is written
Yeah, we're still, you know, we've always had the
For the
intro
writers.
section in the writer's guide, but
Yeah.
it seems like we still need, there's something missing there, Laura. And what we're gonna
You know, to make the decision on the voice and.
right on the voice, exactly. Yeah. Ultimately, we need to get through these next 2 chapters and then sort of see it
Okay,
as a
so
whole
maybe
and be
wait
like,
until-
okay, how do we,
All right.
our plan is to provide universal feedback on top of the specialized like chapter feedback to say like,
That's what I was getting at.
yeah, here are some broad themes. And we did that last review cycle, and I think it helped a lot to say like, focus on these major areas, and then we'll dive in deep for your chapter specific material. The other area to sort of note on the regional plan is we're still sort of fleshing out what phase 3 engagement looks like this spring in May or June. Like we're thinking because of the density of this material and the depth of it all, that we might develop an executive summary and have that be what we share broadly in June to the general public and say, hey, if this executive summary is interesting to you, go to our website and you can access the full draft. I think if the board is telling us anything, who has skin in the game and who are mandated to do this work, and we've only gotten one response, I think if we went to the broader public and said, hey, you want to read 200 pages of planning document? They're gonna be like, no, no. So how can we make this relevant and relatable and digestible? That's sort of the task at hand, right?
You know, the executive summary is not the plan.
Yes,
Yeah,
make that
you gotta-
super
yeah,
clear.
yeah.
Yeah, we've
Right.
gotten some really good examples from across the country from regional municipal planning efforts in larger areas that have used this structure. So we're gonna try to model it after. something
Executive
like that.
summary only.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love it when you read executive summary and somebody comes up and says, wow, they really did a great job. It's perfect. Really?
Yeah,
Mhm,
one page,
mhm.
all that hours.
Mhm.
Yeah.
February Board of Commissioners agenda?
Yeah, so let's start with committees. So no community committee, where you guys have a month off there. There's no town plans coming up yet. The question is, do we want to hold a regional committee meeting? And if we do, because right now I don't have, I believe, any section 248 applications. I will double check to make sure that's certain. I see one Act 250 application, one major, and it looks to me like, I'm just gonna pull it back up. It's an after the fact. Yeah, and I want to say pending awaiting more information. So I think we could, this is for that Pollitt, the Sheldon store in Pollitt,
Oh,
making modifications to parking, lighting, and signage without updating their existing land use permit. I don't think the committee's gonna give a hoot about this one because it's quite minor. However, since it's pending awaiting more information, we may have some time and could kick this off to next month. If we don't have any section 248s or Act 250s, the only other sort of area I could see us looking at for the regional committee would be that substantial regional impact criteria and the section 248 criteria that we started to get into
Oh, today.
on energy chapter facilities and land use. What do you think? Yeah, we could either keep it in with this regional plan committee or regional plan ad hoc committee, which frankly I think is more nimble, more better situated to do it versus like trying to force it in on the regional committee level.
I think we'll be sort of starting.
The learning
over a
curve
little
for
bit.
some of us,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think
think
so.
you're-
With the regional
I think-
committee,
Yeah, I think you're right, but this. group
keep
would-
it here. Yeah, and especially if you're all willing to do it and have maybe 1 or 2 extra meetings over the next couple months.
Just don't make it
Yeah.
on a Thursday and you
You
got
got
me.
it. Okay, that's good to know. And I, again, asking a lot of you guys, I appreciate it. This one's so important. This is like the meat of the regulatory side of this plan. So we got to get it right. And we know that in our current plan, it leaves a lot to be desired and it makes the review of these projects really challenging because there's a lot of ambiguity. So,
There's a pay raise that goes with this, right?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah, 2 sandwiches instead of 1.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, how about that?
Wow.
So now let's talk about the full board meeting. So I do not know what to expect next week. The idea is that next week we had laid out, that is the opportunity. All the staff is going to be at the board meeting who have written chapters. And for the board, the commissioners to ask questions of the staffers having read the chapters. If they haven't read, it might be like a 10-minute meeting. You know, it might be really short. If they have read it, then great. My hope is everyone's read the chapters and they're coming with a ton of information and they want to ask the the staffers questions. We've also told the staffers, similar to like how they've interacted with you all, to say it's an opportunity for them to pose questions to the full commission. Did this make sense? Did my storyline come through? Did I do too much here or there? However, if they're asking questions to a blank wall, then it's again going to be a very quick section of the meeting. My big ask of you all is, especially since I won't be there, you know, Erica, it's really gonna
I know.
be to you to sort of like keep the structure, and you do a great job with that, so I'm not worried at all. I think this is another opportunity for you all who have spent what,
Don't tell us. we don't
30
wanna do it.
hours at this point,
Plus prep.
plus prep time, so probably 50 to 70 hours of review, and that's just for task 3 rev 1. You did this again in task 2 rev 2. If I were you, I would take this opportunity to be like, hey, commission, wake up. This is your opportunity to have a voice in this plan and to review it. We are taking your lack of engagement as support for this plan, because the last thing we want as folks who have spent a bunch of hours is for the full board to be at the 23rd hour or the 11th hour, sorry, to say, oh, we have all these issues with this plan, even though we didn't review it when we had the opportunity when the drafting phase was. So I guess like I'm looking to you all because it will be meaningless coming from me as a staffer here, but you guys as commissioners to say, if you don't want an opportunity to read this plan and be a part of it, fine, even though it is your charge. If you do one thing on this regional planning commission board, it is help draft a regional plan and inform it. And if not, then we don't want to see big hurdles later in the later stages of this plan, because you all know and can speak to the fact that we have very little wiggle room here. And I know I've said this to the board, but I'm thinking it's somewhere getting lost here. And again, we have a week left. Maybe over this next week, everyone will see the call to action and be like, oh, I'm gonna, read this now and comment on it.
You
But-
might want to send out another reminder.
I did
Just-
today.
Okay.
Yeah, I did today. Hopefully you guys saw it.
I haven't
So-
checked.
I guess I'll pose that to you. Is that a reasonable request of you? And do you feel up to the task to sort of speak to your experiences on this regional planning committee and saying, hey guys, we're doing our part. We would like you to do yours. And if not, we are really anticipating that there aren't going to be major issues when it comes to adoption.
I don't have a problem with us saying that.
Yeah, we
I
need to
think-
do that and have them focus, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
have them focus. This is not your perspective, not your towns, this is regional.
Mhm.
From Brandon to Danby to Killington to West Haven, look at it regional.
Regionally.
And that's a challenge for them sometimes.
Yeah.
We know that.
I think it might be good, while you were talking, I was kind of thinking of what should we say? How should we
Yeah.
structure? And I'm thinking maybe someone might be you, Erica, would start saying, your chair, this review committee has done, we've met this many times, we have this many hours, this is the, we have a form that we go through, this is the kind of blah, blah, blah of how we do it. And maybe each of us just plan to present 2 minutes on the chapters that we reviewed. And, maybe say, for example, here's some of the points we brought to Jeremy. Or, here's something we love this section about.
I love
So
that
it's sort
idea,
of
Laura.
prepared.
That's a big ask, and I don't want to make that ask unless you're willing.
Well, that's
also-
okay.
It's
Excuse me.
easier for me to be
I will ask.
prepared.
Because I was going to
And
suggest
not.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Well,
I'm sorry.
also, will it fall on deaf ears if you're mentioning stuff that they hadn't read? That was my only other comment, but I think it's to the point that like, hey, here are substantive comments we have
Yeah.
because we reviewed this.
We, this committee,
They
need,
get
we need your input.
Yeah.
Or
Can't do it.
if you, much like we have on other issues, if you agree to let us continue the way we are, we will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But-
Here's your opportunity.
Here's your opportunity.
Yeah.
Please read it. Plus and I will be as quietly, basically to say, and if you don't, we will continue on as we are.
I mean, truly, yes.
Right.
Either,
It's an
well,
invitation and-
very quietly, very politely put up, or you know the rest.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I can,
Gonna make
Well,
up
you know,
a fictitious chapter.
I think
see if
this-
they're paying attention, like preventing snow blindness in cats. This we've been working on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Can anybody read that chapter?
Yeah, just, here's my report.
Assuming they're not. Maybe
I think-
one person has read one thing, at least we know it. We don't even know who.
Maybe, yeah, we don't know, and it is anonymous, and I'm not trying to make people feel bad here, but, this is to
Right.
my next point of board engagement organization of like, I am struggling a bit on how we can get folks more engaged. I don't have a answer or a strategy right now.
Engaged overall, not just.
Overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you guys are great. You guys are perfectly engaged, but how can we get the other 22 commissioners to be engaged? And there are various levels, right? There's several, Jack and Sarah, and many that are great and show up every week. But I also know what it's like to be on a board and just sort of sit and be talked at, which maybe that's where we are, and we need to reshape it to encourage more active participation. is it going back to that old thing that everyone hates and extends the meeting of like, report out from your town? You know, I know nobody really wants to get back to that because there's another 45 minutes of just sort of blabbing on, but at least it forced everyone to speak.
Well,
they
if we,
want.
if
Or
we-
is it more committees? What is it? You know, I don't know.
I think it's the fact that everybody is just so overworked that they
Yeah.
come and get checked off. I attended. I think that has a lot to do with it. I think the thing is with some commissioners, much like our own commissioners in our own towns.
Right.
They're, even if I do this, so what?
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
they don't see any changes happening. I won't talk about what's going on outside of the region, but I think we're all very aware
Hmm.
of what's going on. So are we doing this because it's good? It is. But is it going to be enough? Is the state going to come down on us and say, no, 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 change it and do it this way? I think the state changing their statutes
Hmm.
makes it difficult to keep up.
It does. Yeah. And there has been a lot of change
Yeah.
recently, although 90, let's say 5% of the state planning goals and required planning elements, they're the same. You know, they're the same that they have been for years, but you're right. It is overwhelming.
It
And
is.
as my regional plan chapter acknowledges, the capacity issue is a real struggle. And I'm not trying to add to that. And if this is the way our board is for now, then it's the way it is. But my hope was that this regional plan was an opportunity to bring people in, make them feel part of something, and have some ownership over it. Because to your point, Larry, it is a regional document, but the region's not a thing of it in itself. It's an amalgam of towns. And without that town perspective, I think the staff is doing their level best to try to acknowledge that difference from Killington and Rutland and West Haven. But nothing speaks to it better than the person who lives in West Haven who sits on our board, you know?
But I think I think the last thing is though, and now I will speak to age and culture, if you will, is you've got this age group where some of us were inculcated from youth, if you will,
Hmm.
community service, get involved, make the change. I mean, what was it? If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem
Problem.
thing, which
Yeah.
I think most of us understood. To how many have on the commission, and rhetorical questions, how many have families, how many have children? How many are, again, family focused, because that, obviously, you're going to be in that position
Mhm.
pretty soon, and they don't have the time.
I totally get that.
And I
Yeah.
think that has a little bit to do with it. The other thing is, they may not know.
Hmm.
It's a learning curve. We all had to go through that learning curve. What do I do? How do I get involved? What do you want me to do? And they could be seeing it, and I will talk to that. Not here, not there. Hey, we're all baby boomers in here. You know, how many baby boomers on the commission, if you will? How many Gen X? How many millennials? Don't answer that question. I really don't care.
Hmm.
But the whole point is you've got all of this made up generational differences. And how do you say it doesn't matter? We're going in the same direction.
Hmm.
And I think that's the hurdle, part of the hurdle. I mean, they come in and they see us in white hair, or wrinkles, or, wearing flannels or whatever.
It's a good look
And-
today. I like it.
Yeah, but do you see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And they're thinking, oh, I gotta get lunch tomorrow, I gotta get soccer, or, oh my God, it's gonna snow, the kids are gonna be home. What do I do about daycare? They're not really
Yeah.
focused.
And so far, they've not demonstrated anything but support. So like,
And that's good.
I'm not being paranoid here to say like,
Good.
we are doomed, because
No.
so far, and this was the other point I really wanted to make today. So far, the full commission has demonstrated a substantial amount of deference to you all. My hope is that And that is to do with the budget, policies, hiring, everything. Like, this is where it happens in the executive committee. If there's gonna be a lack of engagement on the regional plan, then let's hope that same substantial deference applies to the regional
Applies.
plan.
Yeah.
And I think that would be fine to say is like, hey, if you don't want to be super involved in this, fine, but then trust what we're coming to you with for a recommendation when we go to adopt this plan, you know?
Well, and quite frankly, I get the feeling that they do trust us.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, as far as I can tell, none of us have an agenda that we're pushing one way or the other, except to make this the best possible regional plan that we can.
Mhm. And my only other worry about next week, and this similar to what we saw in the policy review session, is there'll be a couple of people who are just gonna posture for an hour about energy or transportation or whatever it is, not because they read the chapter or because of state statute, because it's a platform to just express themselves. I think we gotta, and your chair,
Yes, here, good job.
you can do what you want, but I don't think we should give that much time, because we went through that song and dance in the policy review and it wasn't very substantive, you know.
Ask them to put it in their review comments.
Exactly. Yep.
Throw 'em out.
Because again, this wasn't intended to replace that form by any means. It was a supplement to that if you had questions that couldn't be reflected on that form, you know?
Don't,
At the same time, we don't want to look like we're doing everything here with the plan in section 248 and Act 250, because that disengages them more.
Right.
So the real engagement is in the committee meetings.
Yeah.
You know, the full board is reporting out minutes, agendas, and reports from the committees, like any board.
Well, maybe this is an opportunity for you to remind them that the bylaws were amended to require participation in at least one committee. And we're not
Yeah,
getting
that's the
that.
big part, yeah.
We're not getting that. We're getting better. Well, depends on the month.
Yeah.
Does our board, do we have to have a quorum at our board
We do.
to make?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
So-
it's 9.
This is the point I'm making. All right, I agree.
Oh,
Just,
Yeah,
just fill the seat. All we need you for is to make a quorum.
Yeah.
That's step one.
You're right. Well, that is the basic level, right?
And yeah,
Yeah.
and it's super important. Without it, you know, the
We can't
organization
function.
can't function, actually can't go
Yeah.
forward. So I sort of congratulate people for actually showing up and
Yes.
being there
Right.
for that hour.
We have been having, since I came on, we've
We're
averaged
pretty good.
about 17
Yeah.
towns, which I think is pretty solid
yeah.
considering
Usually a full group.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think having the online,
oh, that helps.
it helps
Back
a
in
ton.
Years ago, that really
Right.
did.
Yeah.
Travel from the
Like
Like
western
poor
side of the
Heather,
state.
who's a young mother from Wells, she
Yeah.
can't drive all the way up here,
Yeah,
you know,
that's crazy.
at 7 o'clock at night. So I think it's
At
great.
their own
Yeah.
expense, a
Mhm.
lot of them too.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
no, and I think actually when it comes to attendance and quorums, I don't remember any meeting that we haven't had a quorum.
Right.
Since
We
I've been
haven't,
on.
yeah.
We've
Yeah.
always had a
Pretty
quorum.
Yeah, we've always,
And I'm
We-
glad we got rid of that complicated formula we used to have where like, if you missed 3 meetings, you couldn't vote and then you didn't count towards. So
Okay.
every
the algorithm,
every meeting
yeah.
there was this like frantic, like, what does the formula say? Do we have enough to keep going? That was only up till, well, when I came on, 2022.
yeah,
That's
we
when
just
it
got
was.
rid of it. Thank God for small favors.
Yeah.
Had to do that at a select board meeting. Out of Creek, didn't have a quorum. They
Yeah.
called me, I was chairing,
Yeah.
could you suspend your
Just
meeting
come-
so we
just
can
come here
just
for
do
5
that?
minutes
And I
so
and I
we
did,
can
I
vote.
went into another room,
Recess.
did the
Yeah.
minutes and went back.
It's at the same time.
Hey, Mike, I know we've been kind of chatting a lot. Do you want to add anything? And if you're on the other
Yeah,
line, don't worry.
No,
Sorry,
I'm
Mike.
here. Hi. Sorry, I I haven't been on video and in present. I was dealing with a couple of things. I apologize. No, I think the Devin, what you were saying about like let's nip it in the bud if it's a platform not directed. I think that's really important. And I think that I have to apologize. I have not been able to focus on this version of the regional plan right now because it's campaign season, and if I don't get reelected, then I'm not here to work on it anyway. So.
Yeah, good point.
So, I'll be back with you right after, like fully neck deep after the election. I apologize for having to be distracted at all. I don't like it. If you know me, this is not my favorite place to be. So, no, I think, if I can support in any way, I think I'm going to be late to the meeting just because of the conflict with the Board of Aldermen meeting that night. So I won't be there either. But if I can support in any way prior to, yeah, exactly. So
We're getting more work done without you, Mike.
That's when they're.
that sound, thanks, Larry.
You're welcome. Always try to be there for you. Yeah.
Thank you, bud.
It's okay, Mike. We appreciate you being
We
here.
know what you're
Yes.
doing, yeah.
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 And if I voted,
Thanks.
you'd have my vote, but I can't vote for you. Sorry about that. Okay, I think
All
I
good.
think we have a pretty good idea of what we're gonna do for the engagement in the organization, and I think it is a good idea, each of us that reviewed the chapter, to take a 1-minute executive summary.
Yeah.
I read the chapter, there are a few problems, we've pointed it out. The staffer has said anything, if the staffer wants to say something about it, they can, and open it up.
Great.
Blurb.
The other thing is, and I have a funny feeling a lot of the commissioners are waiting till the weekend. Let's read it real fast before the
Mhm.
meeting.
Mhm.
Until they realize.
That's
it's
a lot of
200
pages.
Right, once they.
Until it's 200 pages, and
Yeah.
then,
They'll really do that.
Yeah.
yeah, and what they're gonna do is pick and choose whichever chapter they are interested in, rather than the whole plan.
And I would be even fine with that. I would
Yeah.
take anything at this point. The last thing on organization that I want to mention is, yeah,
We seem to have deleted chapter 10, the natural resources chapter from the network.
what?
Any chance somebody got in on the network and wasn't really sure what they were doing?
Not me.
When-
You see chapter 10?
Chapter
on the
10?
network?
How could you do that?
I don't see.
Was it ever on there?
No,
It was on there. of course,
I'll
yeah.
come grab it. We're almost finished
Okay,
here.
all right,
It's,
no worries.
Still away can always recover this
I'll
stuff.
go into the version history and see if I can find it.
Yeah. Okay, the last thing on board organization, Chair Burner will be up. I'm not sure who else has. You're new to vice chair, so you were fine. Larry, how long have you been doing treasurer? Are you up as well?
I'm eligible for one more year.
One more, okay, perfect. So my thought would be you two just switch. If you would be willing to do it.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah,
That's fine.
okay.
That's fine.
And obviously we have to go through the rigmarole, but I want to at least identify people now. If
Yeah.
you're both like, nope, then I gotta go out head hunting here. But if you're both willing to do it, I think that would be everybody's preference anyways. And I
They-
really,
But you'll have a
You get to sit in
nominating,
the hot seat, yes.
you'll have a nominating
Wait.
committee anyway.
Of course we
Right.
will.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, we will. And we'll tell the nominating committee how many people want to do it and everything.
Right.
Make it easy.
exactly.
So wait,
The chair of the
when,
nominating
when is
committee.
that? When's
Not really.
when is
Our
it?
bylaws,
I'm just joking about.
Well, I'm kind of.
Give me 1 second.
It's like in April or
April or
something?
May, it
Okay.
might say May, it's better to do it
Okay, that's
in
all right.
April, give them it.
I just,
A little bit.
next week?
No.
No, we got months.
No,
That's fine.
Stay on the committee, but not be chairman.
no.
My
No,
husband
no.
would rather.
Don't
I
do that.
quit.
Oh, I'm sorry, what?
I say my husband would rather I quit.
Oh,
What,
we
altogether?
added it even further down
But
prior to the June meeting. That's all it says. So it can be anytime.
participation kind
Okay.
of forces you to know what's going on in the area,
So do you guys want to do commissioner
which is
updates?
a good
Are
thing.
you feeling good?
Excuse me, you had a question?
No.
I'm sorry.
Just remember, we are recorded.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
No
I'm-
question. I just said participation
Hmm.
in committees or representing your town, forces you to pay attention to
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yes,
And
100%.
it's a very good thing.
Hmm.
That was my comment, correct?
Yeah, and
agree.
I'm sorry, I thought you had a question.
No, ma'am.
we were chatting.
I think after 3+ hours.
I know, I know.
All right, in that case, commissioner updates, there are none.
No,
Then who wants to make a motion to adjourn
Adjourn.
in a second?
Second.
Oh, just in chatting, the only other thing I was gonna add when you were talking about participation, this doesn't have to be in minutes, so I don't have to go back to the meeting, but, when I was reviewing,
Okay,
The new
what else do I need to
plan
know? Thanks.
Prima?
Yeah, literally.
Prima's- Did she have the economic or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And we were taught, for some reason, we got on, well, make a list of all the
yes,
economies in your town. And so I was doing that last night. It was really interesting.
I bet it was fun.
To write
Yeah.
down. It's like so little things
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
that.
That'll be
to
useful for your
say-
own town plan and like
Yeah,
planning world,
exactly.
you know?
Yeah.
But to ask, those are small tasks that you can
Oh,
ask.
you propose this to
people-
all
yeah.
the commissioners.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
crowdsource.
Yeah.
There could be other things, but
Mhm.
that was an example that was like, there's small
Do we
things.
have to
But
vote
it
to
does, it
adjourn?
makes you think about, no, we adjourned already, right?
No, 16:05.
We didn't vote.
Okay, we'll see you later, Mike.
Second.
Thank you.
I think it's great. I was talking to,
All right, so, like, don't, like, when things over, leave, go home, go to bed, like,
Yeah, tonight.
yeah,
I gotta rest up.
yeah,
I gotta rest up.
you're tapped out.
Yeah. Thank you. Good advice.
So the wholeness tomorrow at 8? Is that what that is?
Uh, is that on my calendar tomorrow?
Sorry, that's the next day, I'm sorry.
Okay, good. Thank God.
No, you're pretty light tomorrow.
Okay.
So you want to know that?